Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of PharmaLinea's podcast. And I'm very happy to be joined here today by the one and only Blaž Gorjup, who is the chairman and founder of PharmaLinea. Hi, Blaž.
Hey, Mateos. Very happy to be here.
Today, we have a lot of interesting stuff to talk about, some more official, some more unofficial. We are going to be starting off with a whole story of how Blaž began this business, what the industry was like then, how he sees it today, and how it went basically with building up PharmaLinea and the whole health chain group. What were in his view, the key moments, the reasons for success. Maybe he'll give us a 5-step program to to succeed in the industry. We'll see. And then also what everybody wants to know is his journey around the world when he was sailing recently across the globe. We'll dive into a little bit of those moments as well. So, Blaž, if you're ready, let's start off with where it all began. So back in 2008-ish, correct?
Official story or the unofficial one?
The official one for the audience.
Okay.
Tell us what it is.
Because everybody comes up with, what's appropriate for the official one. The unofficial one, let's say it started around 2008.
Right.
We started working on some ingredients, quickly learned that, just doing commodity ingredient doesn't really work. Went from client to client, not really knowing the industry, searching from scratch, traveling everywhere around Eastern Europe, which was for us Central and Eastern Europe, let's say from Poland to Bulgaria, somewhere in that region, about 100 million people, 10 plus countries. A lot of time in the car, traveling around, meeting new people. And from there, there was at some point, at which I almost went to personal bankruptcy because all my money was vested in the business. There was a decision that needed to be made. How do we go on from there? So commodity ingredients obviously didn't work. We didn't have the capital. We didn't have the volume. We came into contact with the specialty ingredients business, which at that point it was really picking up in Western Europe, and in the US was already very big, very strong. There were quite a few companies that were doing it big time. But for Central and Eastern Europe, because the market was very strong elsewhere, nobody really took particular attention to it. And we started with first company, second company, third company, and our story was very simple. For the market size of 1/3 of GDP of Germany, you need to cover approximately 10 countries. And when that presentation was done to ingredient manufacturers, they were very happy to give us distribution and to take that off their hands. It wasn't particularly something of their focus at that point as well. So we started off with that, went to client A, B, C, D. The market was very fragmented at that point. If you can imagine, Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, 5 countries. There was only one company which was top 10 in 3 out of 5. So you had to work with 45 plus companies to get to approximately 1/3 of GDP of Germany, let's say the market potential.
Can I interrupt you just over there? How did you entered the natural products industry or the supplement industry, the health industry at a couple of years before that, right? How did you even build up all those connections? Was it actually driving in your car from in Bulgaria to Poland to Romania? How did that look like? Knocking on doors. Hey, introducing yourself.
My business background was I started off in IBM. So getting meetings for me was something very simple. You just said you were IBM and hey, there's a meeting. But going private, that's another story for maybe another podcast why I did that, was different. You're nobody, no one, so there's nothing else to do than knock on doors and just try to create a story, because at the end of the day, stories are what we're buying and selling all day long, every day. Everybody is. So I understood that part, but there was no big plan, no big, strategic discussion, vision that would be behind all this. Was right time, right place. A lot of, let's say, hard work. So you said, what did we do? Yeah, we just went from company A to company B. just being quite open and honest with what when I say we, it's probably me and one or two other people that it all start with. It was spending 2 weeks in a car nonstop, going from company A to company B, actually knowing who the companies are in the industry. Was going to pharmacies, checking the labels of the products, making a Excel sheet, starting to contact, complete cold calling from scratch, not knowing anybody in the industry. Also, just trying to get meetings. When you couldn't get a meeting, you would even say that you have a meeting and just show up there, and hopefully somebody would take time to meet up with you. And that actually did happen. So yeah, both on the supply side and on the buyer side, we had quite a job to do.
And maybe just to take us a little bit back, because you jumped straight into the industry, right? But your background, you mentioned your background in IBM and in education, if that matters at all, political science, correct?
Correct.
Why this industry? Just if you can cover that, just basically. How do you pick it? Was it a coincidence?
I'm a sailor, and there's a known saying that I don't know really how to, maybe I'm gonna rephrase it. Boats are not made to stay in harbor. So you need to go out, and then with anybody who's doing sailing, you also know that the wind never blows really from the right direction, or it blows too hard or not enough. But you have two chances. One is staying in the harbor. The other one is going out and doing the best you can. And this is maybe an analogy to business as well. You cannot force the world's circumstances, but you can do the best you can with what you get. And I guess my therapist would say that I had problems with mommy, and I had something to show to the world, and therefore the grit came. So I think the number one thing was grit, just not knowing to take a no for an answer was the major part. But getting into the supplement business was completely by chance, by knowing somebody who introduced me to somebody. And at the end of the day, there is no business between companies. There's always business between people. Yeah.
Oh, well put. Okay. And fast forwarding back to, we're doing a bit of, jumping here. Sorry for the chronological mishap here. But fast forwarding to the ingredient distribution business, having now good connections both on the supply side and the selling side with specialty ingredients. What happened from then on?
Well, the specialty business was quite hard, because any specialty ingredients manufacturer understands that very well. What I'm talking about is just the education takes time. There was I remember a company who said, we would love to have something special, something unique, but also that general public is aware of it. So it's like a hidden gem that everybody knows about, but it's also hidden. Yeah,
right.
So that's the kind of the catch-22 of the specialty ingredients business. And we were struggling, just to convey the value proposition of the specialty ingredients business. Also, due to, at that point, 2013, EFSA came in with the rules on what you're allowed and not allowed to say in Europe. That was kind of a bummer in Europe. I remember going to Vitafoods at that point. People were, in 2012, people were really bummed out, and everyone was like, "Is this the end of the world?" But I always say, when something goes bad, that probably is an opportunity, And at that point, it was also an opportunity, because in 2012, 2013, when EFSA, what you're allowed to say, not allowed to say in Europe, that was something that was specific for Europe, though. It created an opportunity. So a lot of companies pulled back. And said, okay, we'll see what happens. And at that point, we found some good partners who were saying, oh, this is an opportunity for us. So any new regulations, anything severe happening in the market is an opportunity to change market shares. So at that point, there was a story that we found a partner actually two of them in these countries, where they said, look, we really appreciate having these ingredients. We would love to launch, and that was actually in 2013. But we don't want to deal with manufacturing. We're a branding company, we're a sales company, or we're a marketing company. This is what we do great. We educate doctors, we educate consumers, but we don't want to deal with the hassle of manufacturing. And at that point, with nothing to lose, we decided to deliver products.
And this was roughly 2015, 14? 13 already.
13, yeah.
And
13.
You basically launched the brand of PharmaLinea at Vitafoods. Was it the inaugural presentation?
So the first thing is we launched the products with two partners almost at the same time. The products really picked up. And then in 2014, we saw that is a very positive trend. So we started offering, let's say, those products, type of products to other potential partners in other countries. So not to compete, not to have competition between themselves. And at that point, also Tony, the CEO, joined the company. He had the brilliant idea, not mine, unfortunately, always gonna be his, but that's a great thing about meeting and bringing new people on board is they have hopefully better ideas than you do. And his idea was B2B business is the same as B2C because there's people on the other side, so let's make a brand out of it. And PharmaLinea was his idea. Let's make a brand of private label products, clinically substantiated. Let's make it appealing, let's make it clear, let's make it transparent. And in 2015 we went to the market with it.
And this was then worldwide, right?
I mean, the good old fake it till you make it was the backbone of everything I did.
So that's step one already on the 5-step program.
Yeah, fake it till you make it. The number one is grit. Just work as hard as possible. It's just nothing will ever. There is no other cure for that. So we said, okay, let's go to Vitafoods and let's exhibit. And at that point, again, we just invested everything we had. So for a company which was doing at that point about, I think, less than 2 million euros of turnover. Well, not so long ago, but still, completely different scale. We said, okay, we're gonna invest. It was close to 100,000 euros to Vitafoods and everything surrounding that. It's quite an expense. And we said we're gonna go with a big booth. We're gonna look like a big company. We're gonna do everything proper. And instead of going from a nice 3x3 meters booth, we went for roughly, I think it was 25 to 30 square meter booth with looking like the big guys. And at that point, we started going with the whole presentation of PharmaLinea, clinically substantiated in private label, food supplement, very niche oriented. We started going out, and we had very good feedback from first Vitafoods.
So that particularly, you mentioned a nice segue, clinically supported, private label food supplements. So 3 very specific categories at once, only food supplements, only private label, only clinically supported. So selecting this triple niche, how exactly, why exactly, and then sticking to it throughout all those years where there must have been, I know there have been thousands of temptations, let's say opportunities to diverge from that, to go into different pathways, to be a classic contract manufacturer doing, custom formulations, to maybe developing outside of food supplements into food for special medical purposes, general food and beverage, or even OTC. A lot of opportunities. B2C.
Yeah.
The temptations were many, right?
Digital.
Right.
Devices, software, everything.
Software even.
Yeah, you could do many things in this related to it. Yeah,
the boat could sail out even more then, right? But you decided to keep the boat in that lane, which I suspect must have been hard.
There are 2 principles to it. One is that you're not very credible in life when you're saying I can do everything. So when when you go to a doctor and they're a specialist in oncology or ophthalmology, they're specialist pediatrician as well. Would you trust them?
Oh, as well at the same time?
Yeah.
No, not really. No.
Yeah. So when you're a company doing anything, let's say you're doing, whatever, these glasses, would you, if you do these glasses and you do also big bottles and you do, I don't know, frames for the walls from glass, I guess, that would be a big market to cover. So the number one thing for us was to identify what we're not. So we very early, already in 2012, we had Matt Mayfield on board, who's our board member, and he said you need to find out who you are by defining what you're not. So we said, okay, well, what we're not, and we said, let's just find out, let's just write down what we're not doing, and we understood that we're not doing commodities. We understood that we're not doing anything outside of supplement business because it would stretch our boundaries. We understood that doing B2C is a completely different animal of its own. Manufacturing ingredients is a completely different animal as well. So from saying what we're not doing, we came to, okay, well, we are doing, and we were looking at the whole industry and we're looking, okay, where's the future going? Because we didn't want to just, be stuck with here and now. We're also looking at, okay, now we have time. Business started growing. Let's focus on the future. And we're looking, okay, right now the industry is, let's say, relatively not very well regulated in terms of quality. So there's a majority of products which are being sold are very much commoditized. And we say, okay, if we want to be successful in the future, let's go the opposite way. So let's go high on quality. Let's invest into that, and let's invest into very specific niche areas of supplements. And this is where it came out. Yeah. So clinically substantiated, private label food supplements, really, really focused. And when you say focused, yeah, you can imagine, every salesperson that we have in the company comes out with numerous projects. We get about roughly 800 leads per year in the company, and vast majority of that we don't partner with, because we need to understand that the value proposition fits both sides. But I guess I'm just going too deep into that. That would be another subject of a conversation. So yeah, we said, yeah, let's be there. Let's be in the niche. And we said, look, the world is big enough anyways, we were looking at the markets, the local markets. Our Central and Eastern European at that point was about 2 billion, roughly the market size. The global market size at that point, I'm just talking rough numbers, was 100 billion. So we said, okay, if our business is sustainable economically in Central and Eastern Europe, yeah, let's go there. Let's go forward.
Where did it go from there, actually?
The easy thing in theory would be go Western Europe, yeah. So, well, because higher pricing could be achieved there. It's better purchasing power, more developed markets. Whereas our idea was completely the opposite. We said, yeah, we need to prove ourselves before we go to the more developed markets. And we said, where do we bring substantial value? We did quite a bit of analysis, and we decided, yeah, it's going to be, let's say, Middle East, Southeast Asia. These are very demanding markets from regulatory perspective. Europe, Western Europe, European Union, let's be specific, is very simple in terms of regulatory, in terms of bringing the product to the market. Whereas these countries have quite a big obstacle in terms of going to the market. We understood that we need to deliver the service. The markets in Western Europe at that point were still growing quite nicely. I mean, they still are comparing to other industries today. But we saw, yeah, that we'll go there. And we understood that those are the markets where we have a competitive advantage. Going back to looking at what is our competitive advantage, and what our competitive advantage was, that we're willing to work it out, we're willing to work hard day and night, we're willing to prove ourselves, and that was of value in those markets.
And now it's 40 or nearly 50 markets already, more or
Yeah,
less.
you know better than I
Maybe
do.
I'm
Yeah,
more updated than you are.
yeah,
Anyway.
I mean, it's just mind-boggling to, from where we started to where the company is now. And it's a really a global company. It's present on so many different markets. There are challenges that nobody speaks about. There's so many good people. Maybe we can talk about that, because what makes a company successful.
Correct. I was gonna ask you. We've been now roughly on this journey, right?
Yeah.
To the end, or where we are at now. And what were the key factors for success there? Because it could have gone wrong probably at many points.
Oh yeah.
Maybe what were those points, or what was us preventing from going wrong, and how did we get here? What were the key reasons?
I mean, long story short, when somebody asked me, it was 15 years of hard work, and then we succeeded overnight. Because it looks like an overnight success, but behind that, it's like so much work, so many people actually, giving themselves for the company, and really, 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 really working hard. Nobody talks about the days of not seeing your children, and not being there, and you cannot have it all. So the number one is just hard work, and there is nothing that will substitute that if you're starting from scratch, and if you don't have capital behind you. The number two is people that you surround yourself with. At some point, it was quite funny. Because I did study political science, but for some, let's say, young mind reason, I decided to not actually do my final exam. So I'm not a political scientist by profession, by education, I mean. And at some point, it was when we were like 20 or 30 people, I was the only one without a university degree in the company. And yeah, so it's getting the right people, and we were always looking for people who shared our passion to do something new, to do something great. We were, let's say, an alternative. If you were like a biochemist, and you had the alternative working for a big pharma company, or you're gonna create something on your own. We always said you have two jobs in this company. One is you have your daily operational job, and the other one is actually you need to develop your own area of expertise, because it's all growing, and as any growing company, that requires the right people with the right attitude, and that is for sure the key.
I can speak exactly to that because you just said if you are a biochemist, and this was pointing at me as well, because I am a biochemist and I came exactly through this path, working before for a pharmaceutical giant, being a small part of a small wheel in a huge machine where you don't really know exactly what comes out of the machine. You're so far removed from everything that happens. No, real connection to strategy unless you're really, really high up. And it's hard to be driven. You get a lot of propaganda in all the posters, like we're doing good for the people
to do that.
Yeah, there's huge departments, and even those people are far removed from what's happening. But it's hard to see the end goal, how you're actually helping people. And when I came here, this was exactly what drew me in. Like I could see the development of a product from beginning to actually it working in the market, people taking it being clinically proven to work, it's selling also, and it's infinitely more fulfilling. But of course, it's a specific kind of person. You have to be that person as well, because it requires that much more work, at least at the stages where we were a couple of years ago. Not that I was, in the really, really early stages when you were 3 and, traveling across strange countries, not strange countries, but smaller markets, let's say.
Yeah.
But even at that stage, when I came in, I mean, or at least I think you need, and this is what I would confirm from the brilliance of you and Tony as well in hiring was getting people that had that little drive in their eyes, I guess.
Well, let's turn the story around. What did you apply for when you came?
Yeah. So welcome to the podcast about Mateusz. Yeah, this was a part of
You
the
did not
business as well.
apply for marketing, right?
I did not apply for marketing. Yes, correct. I applied for just another R&D job, which would not have been an answer to my dilemma at all. And then coming into the interview, first thing you ever said to me was, of course, the classic bad cop routine of not even saying hi, just sitting down and going, how many dogs are there in Ljubljana, right?
Correct.
How
many dogs are there?
To this day, I think it's what, 20,000, 30,000?
Roughly 20,000 dogs in Ljubljana, yeah.
If you're in that ballpark, you get hired here.
No, it's just the thought process.
It was just, yeah.
And the attitude. Yeah. The attitude is so important, yeah. But you did not apply for research, right?
No.
I mean, you applied for research, and in the middle of the conversation,
you guys said, wait a second, yeah. We have something else for you. And then exactly. You guys went out, and I was there sitting, not knowing what the hell is happening with my life, and it was taking a completely different turn. Hey. And here we are now.
Not for good, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's part of the brilliance as well, right?
Yeah.
Seeing the right quality in people, I guess.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
It's definitely important. Yeah. It's definitely out there. And, there's been listening to people, to other people, I think is also key. Okay. When I was still the CEO, there was a lot of complaints about, meetings taking too long and having too many meetings. Because I still think I'm still highly, in regards to the value of having other people's opinions and not sticking to your own mindsets and in your own little box and, just the thought process. So every key decision was always thought through internally, externally, just trying to listen and trying to understand the big picture. And I think that brings the value. So also this company is very much organized, that there's a lot of autonomy in the decision-making process of everyone actually involved. And with Tony coming on board, that's been, added to the process as well. And yeah, I think it's just so important that, it's not just, you come to your daily job. Do our ads still say that this is, if you're coming here for just to do another job, don't even apply? Yeah.
It's a little bit nicely put, but more nicely put.
It's probably put like, if you cherish that, if you understand that, what did we go with? If you
want something that really drives you and motivates you, and it's not just to clock out the 8 hours, something like that.
If you understand that the majority of the time that you're awake, you're gonna spend with us,
correct,
and you value that, then you should come and apply. Yeah. Because that's the hard fact. The hard fact is whatever you do in life, the majority of your time awake will be spent there, and you have basically two options. There's a good podcast by Scott Galloway and Prof G. If somebody wants to listen on it, and he says, don't do what you like to do, but do what you're good at, because when you're good at something, you'll start liking it as well. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's also something that really stuck out with me. Don't just try to, just this imagination, I'm going to do something that I like in life, which is probably the harder way to do it. The probably more sensible way to do it is, try to find what you're good at. Mm-hmm. And then, typically people, when they're good at something, they start liking it as well.
So that's already, I think, the 5th point in the 5-step program. If we try to summarize it.
5-step program?
Yeah. It was grit was first. Then it was the fake it till you make it. Hire the right people. Listen to people, maybe. Yeah. And maybe this one goes somewhere in the beginning, but it was do what you're good at, and you will start liking it.
But I think that the number one factor is luck.
Add luck to that. Yeah. Okay.
The number one factor.
Have luck. I mean, in general. Yeah. If you can. Yeah.
I mean, it's like lottery tickets. Working hard will get you more lottery tickets to open. Yeah. Bringing good people, into your life and valuing them appropriately will it's like buying more lottery tickets. Uh, all these things is just buying more lottery tickets. It doesn't mean that, those lottery tickets will win big time, but the chance of success in the big lottery of life and business and life, yeah, actually, is, that you do the right things, and then it is what it is.
So for somebody now, perhaps listening to your story, being a bit inspired by it, always thinking about whether or not they should start their own business in the supplement industry, listening to this 5-step program, everything sounding really clear and easy, just follow the 5 steps. What would be your advice for them, apart from the 5 steps, of course, taking into consideration the supplement industry as it is now? Tough one.
Yeah, we talked about this one before.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll start from this. It was way easier, 15 years ago, for sure. It was way easier. The industry wasn't as competitive. There was space for it. There was, the growth was higher. The ease of access was higher. I mean, just, let's look at the shelf space. Shelf space are as big as there are. If you're doing SEO and you want to be there when somebody plugs in, food supplements, you're probably gonna have hard time being the top 5 links on Google. So what are you gonna do? My only, let's say, not even a suggestion or an idea would be, make sure you have a really good niche, and make sure you really do understand the value proposition. As when we develop products, that my key question is always, what value do we bring to end consumer? If we don't have the answer to that, what value do we bring to end consumer? Why would an end consumer on let's say in Korea, in Vietnam, in Saudi Arabia, in Romania, in Poland, in Spain, in Brazil, in Colombia and Mexico buy this product? What does it bring? If we don't have an answer to that, there's no specification or high quality or something that will change that. So make sure that you do add value, and that value is understood also from the consumer side. And the best way to do it is to test it. I mean, theoretically, theory is theory. Life is something. And I used to work in another lifetime, I used to work with a company that did direct-to-consumer products, and they first tested online, and they tested cross-selling, inbound, outbound calling, and before they went to TV with the same product, they said they had a 50-50 chance, even after all the testing they did. And they said they were working in roughly 20 countries. And the CEO said to me, look, we have no idea why something works in one country and doesn't work in another. We really don't. We just try to do our best. We do analyze stuff. We are careful with what kind of products we do. We are process oriented, but there's still a segment of I don't know. So when it's the same, any business that, if I'm looking into a new business or something, or maybe even an investment, I'm looking from a perspective, okay, what value does it bring to a consumer, to the user of this product or service? If there is no clear answer or clear distinction to everything else on the market, then maybe it's time to rethink.
And touching upon, or continuing on the thought of the industry changing in terms of crowdedness, competitiveness, anything else you would say stands out in comparison to when you began and the industry now? Where do you see it, or where do you see it even evolving in the future? Very general question, but
yeah, very general question. It goes to a lot of other things with this, new era of digital, whether we at 4.0 or 5.0, or I don't know
infinity.
What today it is the right number. The number one problem of today is not lack of information; it's too much information. There's so much noise. Yeah. So if you want to search for something, do something in life, there's too much information. The problem is getting credible information and the right kind of information that will help you. Yeah. And that's something that I'm actually struggling with. I don't think I have a good answer to it. Like, how or what do you do about that? You know?
So personally getting the right information, or
No, just getting the right information through. I mean, it's the market is very competitive. It's very noisy. Just how do you get the information to a consumer? I mean, because for me, it's always about the consumer. It's about the end user. Uh, you know, the access to the end user is getting more and more limited. You know, how are you going to access it? Social media? You're going to access them through Google search, maybe, you know, in the near term future through whatever, Chat GPT, blah, 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 other AI tools. Classic, you know, TV, what are the accesses that you have? And we are, I guess, also lucky in a way, but this was actually thought through, that one of the key issues for consumer and supplements is trust and credibility. So as I say to my 13-year-old when I catch him, you know, playing a phone when he shouldn't be, yeah, I tell him, you know, trust is very hard to build and very easy to, yeah, destroy. And it's the same with brands and with consumers. Is, you know, the trust in supplement, because it's unlike, you know, whatever you're wearing is something you're actually, you know, you're putting in your mouth, you're digesting, and it's the same with the, you know, and then you go to children, you know, even more risky area. Trust even more important. So if trust is something in supplements, which is important, it's still, let's say, it's an opportunity, that the quality is something which is still extremely disappointing to me, but it presents an opportunity maybe for incomers.
do you feel like the issue of quality has not at all improved since the beginning when you started, or in negligible amounts?
It has improved in the big brands, definitely. It's night and day. I mean, the stability studies, the, you know, but not only on the shelf life, also on the active ingredients. And as the formulations are getting more complex, that is more and more challenging. But as we see the results of some latest analyses that were done on US market, especially on Amazon, it's just heartbreaking. You know, the fact, why heartbreaking? I could say, you know, it's business, it's just making money. It's, you know, this is something that people actually digest. So I just don't get, you know, how are you gonna sleep in the middle of the night, just making sure that, okay, I earned another buck or euro by selling a supplement which doesn't actually have anything inside, doesn't have an active, or maybe even contains some dangerous substances. But we are different, and I hope really that, you know, the regulations will change. There's some work done on that. I know the US, there's more conversation about that. Europe is trying to regulate itself to get out of business completely, but, you know, we're fighting that in all areas, not just supplement, you know.
Right. Europe is creating a lot of opportunities through the challenges.
A lot of opportunities, yeah. So I think the like, going back, quality is something which is still a big challenge for the industry. As I used to say, this industry, my mother is a doctor, and at some point I said, "Mom, what's this?" And she said, "Well, this is some, I'm not gonna name the product for political correctness. Actually, I'm gonna name the product. It was a liposomal vitamin C, you know, liquid form, stable." And it was this, a couple of years ago. I said, "Mom, we're looking for a stable liposomal vitamin C for years now. We tested quite a few suppliers, and you know, the shelf life. God, I hope she doesn't listen to this podcast. If she does, hey, Mom." And it was not really stable beyond like 3-4 months. Nothing was, especially in liquid form. And I said, "Mom, there's no way this is stable." And she said, "What are you talking about? Look, it says here on the label." My mom is a doctor with a PhD. Yeah, she lectures at the university. And at that point, I was like, okay, we do have a challenge with the relaying the message to the consumers. So it's because, you know, education is something that matters. The threat here is always, you know, it's gonna backfire. It's gonna backfire that, okay, what if everybody looks the same? You know, what if we all look like we're, you know, dirty behind our fingernails, and you know, we're doing things a bit differently than they should have been done. So that's a bit of a, you know, give and take that the whole supplement industry would be, because there's a lot of good companies. There's a lot of good companies. There's a lot of products which are out there, which are on the ingredient level, which are being really, really nicely developed, which are helpful to people, which are not just some marketing buff that's gonna make it. So there is a clear differentiation. But when I said, you know, when anybody asks me what to buy, I'm gonna always answer them: go with a big brand, go with a big, you know, brand. Go with somebody who has something to lose. You know, never, never, ever. Sorry, guys, if you're doing that business, but never buy an online supplement for an unknown company just because it's cheaper. Just that's, for me, it's a no-brainer. There might be good ones, but you know, then let them prove themselves. But in general, as a general consumer, I'd say, yeah, just go with a known brand that has a lot to lose.
Right. And I have a similar advice. What I say is go to the pharmacy for them to be a little bit of a filter of who they take in into their shelves, and they ask for the most expensive thing there is over there.
They do. I mean, and I also have a saying, you know, don't buy anything under. Depends on which market, but in Europe it would probably be €7, because you know, we understand what how much things cost,
right? And
if you want to have quality, and you know how much that will go for. So we were. I mean, I was jibber jabbering about how to access consumer. Doctors and pharmacists still are the credible, you know, who do you trust people in the industry. So if you can go there to the doctors, and a lot of our clients do, that is the way to go forward. And that is also the way, something that, you know, Google and Facebook cannot limit that. And they have, you know, if you look at, in general, if you look at the recognition and the trust, if you look at all the, you know, the governmental institution, etc., or you know, different professionals, doctors are still up there, and pharmacists as well. So, you know, and that goes back to our business model.
Right.
Our business model is PharmaLinea, clinically substantiated, private label, and typically that goes through some kind of advice of a doctor or a pharmacist.
A bit outside of our scope of maybe exact expertise and more into guesswork, but you follow the development of AI, and what do you feel about doctors and pharmacists? How long will they still be the communication point, the information point for the consumer before, or even diagnostic stuff like that, before AI completely takes over and there's no more human interaction over there, just a well-taught AI that we put our trust in?
Can I get my crystal ball?
Sure, you can take a drink, you can take a break.
Crystal ball and check what it says. AI is the unknown. I mean, it's gonna change things for sure. Nothing will, as far as I'm concerned, nothing will change human connection. There will be, like, radiology is simple, you know. If a doctor is more or less looking at pictures, the computer will do it better. Pediatricians, you're gonna tell me that AI is gonna be substituting pediatricians when you have a 3-year-old screaming on the chair, not letting, you know, be checked? I struggle with that. Urologist, I'm coming to those years. You know. Yes. AI, really? I mean, health is, you know, it's in US, I was just listening today, is the biggest industry, and it's been growing almost fourfold in the last couple of decades in terms of GDP. Will AI have an effect on doctors, pharmacists' work? For sure. Will it go fast? For sure not. Will it affect the supplement industry? For sure. Will it, you know, will it change? Yes. Will it change as fast as people think? No. I'm gonna tell you why I think that. Personalized nutrition. There's been talk, tests, trials. Is personalized nutrition going to be something for the supplement industry? Yeah, for sure. When? Not today. When? In the future? Yes. Wow, brilliant. When? I have no real idea. But it's the same with AI. It will be tested, it will be tried. Would I invest into it today? No, probably not. Infrastructure? Yeah, if you're looking at it from investor point of view, infrastructure for AI for sure. But this is not a podcast about investments, is it?
No, it's not yet. We'll see how it develops. But for now, no, it's about you. And since we're on that topic, let's go into lighter waters, no pun intended. We promised the listeners that we would talk about your trip around the world as well. So, just to recap what we're talking about, was it 2 or 3 years ago?
21.
21, Blaž sailed off on a sabbatical for about almost 2 years, was it?
Yeah.
With breaks in between, sailing around the world. And he was just all of a
Actually,
sudden
halfway around the world.
halfway, and then the
Yeah,
other half.
'cause, you know,
or-
sailors, with sailers, it's important, you know, halfway
Right,
around the
right.
world.
Sorry to all
'Cause
the
otherwise,
sailors.
they'll be calling me and it's like, why did you brag about it?
Okay. And so you were all of a sudden gone from the Vitafoods, gone from the supply side west, and we were getting questions, where is Blaž? Well, he's sailing halfway around the world, and then, just people light up with thousands of questions. Can you just give us, the highlights, the best bits, the worst bits? What do you eat? For how long are you alone? What are the risks? Do you have reception? The
Well,
basics.
So sailing around the world, my wife put it very nicely. You know, she has a couple of analogies. To funny ones in a bit cynical way. She quit her job to become a cleaning lady, a cook, and a teacher. 24/7. The other one was it was extended COVID. Being alone with your family in a small place, confined space, 24/7 again. But no, the going back to the more fun part, it was an unforgettable experience. We sailed. The idea came from a long time ago, and COVID seemed like it presented an opportunity. I was dealing with personal issues with let's say depression around COVID, and it seemed like I wanted to run away almost. That kind of coincided with my planning to do the trip. We started off in Europe, and basically we sailed to New Zealand. That was a long story short. We took our kids out of school, did homeschooling, did everything together with them. Good times, bad times, screaming, yelling, hugging, kissing, crying, everything super intensive.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, my thought was, okay, this gives us a once in a lifetime opportunity. Kids will never be this age again. They'll grow up and they'll just leave me alone thing. And so with my wife, we said, it's now or never. We do it. I had my thoughts about the company, and I said, look, management team is there. They're super reliable people, trustworthy people, and I just said, look, there's no better way to just confirm that, yeah, in a way, than to sail away. Somebody asked me, oh, but you're still controlling the company. I said, look, I was away for 2 years and a half, and it was the trust that I gave into you guys, yeah. And just paid off so many ways. Paid off in terms of just getting this acknowledgement from your side, from my side to you, to understand that the company is self-standing. It's being run super well, and that gave me some freedom of having that choice to go. Sailing is something for very specific people. What you learn is that especially when you come to remote places like Fiji, Fiji is almost exactly on the other side of the world, and getting there has nothing to do with money. Most of the people there, they're not wealthy. They're kind of because getting there is sometimes very painful. You have to give up on your, contacts. You have to give up on your, let's say, family, social sphere. Most of the people quit their jobs, sell their houses, and go. There's no super yachts there. There's no fancy, yachts in Fiji, because they're all in whatever, Cannes, Nice, or I don't know, Fort Lauderdale. I don't really know where. But to get there, it does challenge you in many ways and forms. I have to say, for me it was a life-changing experience in terms of getting to know myself, because it does give you a lot of time to think about what you want to do with life. And coming back for me was even more important. It was important for just deciding what do I want to do with the rest of my life. And I was struggling with, as many people are, with a bit of this question mark of what's the meaning of life, what do I do with the rest of my life. And then especially when you're, we were in picture paradise places, French Polynesia atolls, when you're the only boat in an atoll which is uninhabited, and it's just spectacular. But I guess that can be a part of life, but that's not whole life. So now coming back, it's my answer is, okay, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? Is I'm gonna give back. Many people helped me along the way, so this is very important for me in many ways and form, not just financially, with my time, because the only really limited thing in life is time. So I'm trying to do that. And but going back to the fun part of sailing, I mean, yeah, you meet really great people around. The people who actually do make a decision to go and then sail in these really remote places are they had to make a decision. They had to leave stuff behind, people behind, and just meet a community. Which just next week we're meeting with some people, and it's probably it's a lifetime kind of a bond. The other thing is kids completely change. I mean, they need to understand. My kids were, my elder one was struggling with English, and now he just achieved the best in his school award for English, because just you get into this openness. You start, okay, English is one thing. The other one is meeting unknown people. Just engaging with them. My kids were, now it's completely unlike them before we left. Now they sit down in a hospital and there's somebody next to them and say, hey, hello, how are you doing? My name is, yeah. And they would never do that before, because it's kind of, the 2 years did make a big impact on them. 90% of people try or think or build or prepare, but they never leave. So the only thing to do is just, you make a decision. It will never be perfect. It will never be the way you planned it. One mistake I did was I overplanned, as I try to do with things in life. And I would say, just maybe going more with the flow would be the thing to do. But the best thing and the best experience I had, and we had in general together, was when you go to remote places, people really, really, living basic life. They're the happiest, people in the world. And you're like, wow, these people are smiling all the time. And just like, and they come to you and it's like, do you need some help? Do you need some food? Do you want us to do something for you? And like, wow, I mean, I'm, top 1%. Yeah. As in the West, we all are, or most of us. And they're the bottom 1%, and they're smiling. I come back to Europe, people are not smiling. It's just like, wow, they must have something figured out. And it's something that still kind of draws me there, but it's also some kind of pristine authenticity that I want to bring back here, because every person, I think, has that in themselves, and, just a bit help in that direction, just push it out of people, a bit more authentic smiles.
All right, so maybe that's they have another 5-step program of their own that we could look into in a next podcast on a different topic.
Yeah.
Could be more steps, whatever, but it's a new topic, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Blaž, for sitting down with us.
Happy to do it.
And see you next time as well. And see you, the audience, ladies and gentlemen, on our next podcast. Thank you for listening.